Okay, session 5. So in session 5, you guys are free of the time paradox in New Salem. You return to the Polar District where all of the children who had been turned into Heartless, they're acting strange. They return to their parents. How would you act if you had your soul or essence removed? ZPD has set up base outside of the entrance to New Salem, and there's a press conference going on. Mayor Lionheart is addressing the fact that Chief Hops has been looking for the missing children, was successful in finding the missing children, and Hops then takes the stand. Hops communicates essentially that the investigation has led to finding 12 missing children, but there are now 12 more missing children, and that a vigilante, Darkwing Duck, is going to work together with her task force to uncover the location of these missing children. She also communicated that she believed that the gangs were responsible for the missing children. She believed that the gangs are trying to make Heartless. They want to weaponize the children. She also communicated that she believes that Shinra, the Soldier Program, Camelot, the Red Queen, the White Witch are all somehow involved in the events that have taken place so far. So she also then communicates that she believes Galen Gryffindor and Tamlin Nightingale are in fact not guilty of the crimes that took place in Cinderella when the bombing happened and when Dias, who was the one who turned Alice into a crystal, Dias killed Alice. So she communicates she does not believe they are guilty of that. Of course, Galen Gryffindor was blamed for that. Tamlin Nightingale was also blamed and deemed a traitor as a result of that. Okay, you guys went off into the Polar District. As you guys went off into the Polar District, there was some tomfoolery that went about. Of course, you saw the Swedish chef at one point doing some Christmas caroling, and Gale unlocked a new ability. He was able to take on elephant stature. He gets super big at this point. You guys are in the Polar District, and Zen ends up going into, actually the entire party goes to this old abandoned shack that's kind of calling out. In the old abandoned shack, there's a figure in there. You guys all break into this old shack, and as you get into this old shack, there is a demon-like figure dressed in Santa Claus gear. That's Krampus. And Krampus tells you that you're going to be visited by 3 figures, past, future, present. So he warns you, and then what ends up happening? Well, Galen Gryffindor is on the top balcony of this old shack, and he's seeing the movement of this chair. This chair is sitting there, it's blue, and it just continues to move. It's kind of odd. Well, that chair was actually Merlin, and Merlin pops out, vanquishes Krampus, and then disappears. But he tells the party, take the book. Party doesn't take the book. The party is still investigating what's going on with the missing children. And so they come to this old abandoned warehouse that used to be owned by Biggs Refrigeration. Break into the warehouse. As you get into the warehouse, you see crates with different colors. Gale comes to the conclusion that these crates are actually being used to ship children, to turn children into Heartless or something to that effect. Zen uncovers the McDuck Adventuring Guild. Zen gets some information on this lamp that the guild is interested in, says that there's some benefits there. You guys uncover some letters from Launchpad. You find out that Launchpad was interested in a sword that was called the Dragon's Tooth, which is also a relative of the Devil's Tooth, which is another sword of interest. You find out that he has some girl named Atlantica that he has a relationship with and that he has been fighting to protect. After that happens, party is within this warehouse. You guys are checking things out. There's a flash drive essentially from Tamlin Nightingale, who leaves a message, and it's a message to Sozin. And there's a little bit of conflict before you guys got in the warehouse. There was some conflict going on with Zero and Sozin and Zen, and you guys are still working through that conflict together. Don't know that you can trust Sozin. Zero knows the kind of guy that Tamlin was, and of course that pushes Sozin's buttons. You guys eventually solve the puzzle and you go into this underground facility in this warehouse. In the underground facility, 3 different paths you guys take. One party ends up going and saves. Sorry, I just got a message. One party goes and saves Dash and is able to get Dash out of captivity. You're working with Mr. Incredible. The other party's working with Darkwing Duck, and you guys end up going against Merrick, who is now somehow out of ZPD custody, and Wong, who is the leader of the Tongs gang. Fight against those. The other party comes into these offices, uncovers some more information. You find out that Hammer, AIM, and Shinra are all 3 working together. These are these big 3 powerhouses. Eventually what ends up happening is an Adaptoid, this gigantic robot from the Incredibles, breaks out of this underground facility, starts wreaking havoc on the Polar District. Everyone gets to the top ground, but not before Gale comes across a guy who you believe to be Dias. Gale thinks it's Dias. He's coming in saying, I'm fighting Dias. Of course, Jack Skellington is fighting alongside, and what is going on? Well, Dias is crystallizing, or this guy you believe Dias is crystallizing Sally. So Gale protects Sally, helps Jack to get Sally out of there. Gale is then shut down. Dias says, nobody. Boom. You guys fight the Adaptoid. Terra pops up onto the scene. Terra stabs his blade in. Terra and Dash are the only ones who deal really any damage to this gigantic Adaptoid. There are bombs in the area. You guys defuse the bombs, and that is where we end Session 5.